Good morning. Thank you. Dr. Sandra Inteiriço, in representation of the Minister of the Environment, Professor Fernando Santana, Dean of Faculty of Science and Technology, Professor Walter Vermeulen, President of the International Sustainable Development Research Society, dear delegates, dear colleagues, dear friends, welcome to Lisbon. Welcome to Portugal. On behalf of the organizing committee, it's my pleasure and privilege to welcome you all to the 22nd Annual Conference of the International Sustainable Development Research Society. Hosted by the Faculty of Science and Technology of Universidade Nova de Lisboa and our research center, SENSE, Center for Environmental and Sustainability Research, in association with our society, ISDRS. I started coming to this conference 12 years ago, and 3 or 4 years ago I talked with Walter, Richard, Pauline, colleagues from the society, and I decided that was my turn, our turn, to contribute to this society and to the conference, organizing the 22nd annual conference. In fact, I was born in a small island and in a window for the new world, and that was part of the inspiration to think in the main theme of the conference. And I discussed this with my colleagues, co-chairs, Sandra and Rui, and we decided to choose the main theme inspired on these joint visions for the new and old world, and we choose the main theme, rethinking sustainability models and practices, new and old world contexts. Sustainability transitions have resulted in a number of challenging threats and opportunities for all types of economies, but in particular for emerging and fast-changing economies and societies. At the same time, the international sustainable development research community has generated and accumulated knowledge from the traditional tested models and approaches and results from practical experience in dealing with sustainability issues in different times and space contexts. Sustainability teams have reflected the issues and paradigms that have been most studied in practice. However, sustainability frontiers should also be built up on non-traditional aspects of sustainability. So we think that it's time to rethink, to reanalyze, to rebuild, to refresh, to renew, and maybe do better for more liberty, inclusiveness, and fairness. And with sustainability for all, individuals, regions, countries, traditional, and of course, institutions, societies, and ecosystems. I would like also to stress that this main team was built for two main purposes. So we try to join a pre-event to the 22nd annual conference. And we organized 2 days ago, so we start on Monday, with the pre-event, the Luso-Brazilian Symposium on Sustainability Models and Practices. It was a great challenge to bring other colleagues from South America, in this particular case from Brazil, and I think was a quite positive experience with a great collaboration with the University of São Paulo. For both events, we developed a sustainability strategy, and then we called Sustainability at ISDRS 2016 to adopt and promote sustainable principles and practices during the event, and of course in the planning stage, and also during the conference and after the conference. So please check your booklet and all the information that we have in the website and please contribute for a more sustainable event during these 3 days. We received about 800, or more than 800 in fact, submissions during the initial stage of this conference. And after this, we reached a final number of accepted submissions above 500, including, of course, some for the pre-event. So I'm also delighted to announce that the total number of delegates is also beyond our best expectations. We have 460 delegates for the 22nd annual conference, from all continents, from 48 countries, and distributed among 8 plenary sections and 79 parallel sections. So for us, this is great. This is fantastic. So finally, and to conclude, on behalf of all organizing committee, I would like to thank the keynote lecturers, deck chairs, members of the scientific committee, student staff, sponsors, and all the delegates for submitting and presenting their works in this world-leading event on sustainable development. So once again, we warmly welcome all participants from around the world to this exciting 3 days conference, and I hope that you enjoy the conference, Lisbon and Portugal. Thank you very much. Next, I would like to invite the President of the International Sustainable Development Research Society, Professor Van Mullen, to deliver the speech, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. It's working? I hope so. Thank you, Thomas, for organizing this 22nd annual conference of the International Sustainable Development Research Society. It's our pleasure, as on behalf of the full board of the Society, to welcome you all here in Portugal. I arrived here on Portugal on Sunday already, preparing for the Portuguese side event. And I noticed that Portugal is a very happy country, not only generally, but of course especially this weekend. The next day I noticed another thing. Apart from being the European champion in football, which is interesting, I think that the team that we have here is the world champion in sustainability conferencing. So, welcome to all of you, and let me just give a short introduction on our society. What are we, what do we intend to do, and how do we see sustainable development? There are many researchers that present sustainability, sustainable development, as something like complexity science. And it is true to some extent. But we need to actually translate this complexity of our full society in relation to our full ecosystem, which is a very sensitive relation. Also, we have to translate this complexity into practical actions and understandable actions, and this is very important. I have a little bit of sound here. I'm not sure if it can be helped. So I'm very happy with the, maybe that works better. Yeah. I'm very happy with the theme that was chosen for this conference, Rethinking Sustainability Models and Practices. So it's linking the models and the practices, and it's linking the old and the new worlds. Indeed, for me, what I try to do, talking about sustainable development in research and with our students, I try to make it a little bit more simple. So I use this cubic, this Rubik's Cube, and we actually made it a little bit more simple. But it stresses the 3 dimensions of sustainable development. It is about the 3 pillars of addressing people, fairness in the relations between people. It's about dealing with our planet, and it's about, on the societal level, creating prosperity at the same hand. And we have to do that with a time dimension in mind. So we have to look back, we have to look forward, and we have to translate it to what we can do now. And we have to look at the spatial dimension. Anything that we are doing is affecting changes anywhere else. So we have to look at the macro level, and there are very interesting examples of researchers. I have an example here of an analysis by researchers from the University of Sydney who are able to track anything that you are consuming and what kind of environmental effects it has anywhere in the world. So this slide just shows one of the examples that we can actually map by now. We can also do that for the social dimension. We know that in international trade, not unfair practices are occurring, and we're actually underpaying a lot of the workers that are creating the products that we are doing. We can actually by now map the whole flows of unfairness in this way. So this is macro level thinking. So we have to link this macro level thinking towards what is happening in practical cases, because it will always be people and their institutions that need to make the changes. So this connection between here and there, between macro and micro and macro, about the global and the local, this is very essential in addressing sustainable development issues. And this is also why the whole theme of connecting different parts of the world, different perceptions, we have to deal with the very simple fact that looking at sustainability issues, there will be different perspectives on them, either from a scientific disciplinary approach. Already during the PhD workshop we had yesterday, we gladly see that we are merging students from different angles, from different disciplines, to bring them together. And there's a common understanding that we have to bring this together to get to better solutions. So bridging, you are talking in fact about bridging, is a very important step to take. So I try to make it simple always and let people imagine what you need to do in your situation by looking to those three dimensions of people, planet and prosperity, and looking in the time and the place dimension. In the society, we have this history of 22 conferences, traveling around the world with that, and since a couple of years we have created the society around it, and it's our intention to be a platform for you as researchers to connect to each other, connect through the different disciplines, connect through the different places which we're coming from. And for that we provide a couple of additional activities, so the society is more than just the conferences which you are now attending. So what, apart from this conference, we do also connect to other comparable communities and work with joint sessions at other conferences, but more importantly, probably within the society, there are a couple of options for collaboration. We have this year introduced the system of institutional membership. So for each of you, if you go back to your institution, discuss with your colleagues whether it makes sense for you to be an institutional member of the society, and for your organization it opens a platform to distribute the results of your research into the wider society. We have over 200 followers around the world, so it's a perfect possibility to actually connect. It gives also the discounts to the conference. That's a smaller benefit for it, but you may use this actually as a platform to connect to comparable organizations, to collaborate, maybe to organize sessions or workshops, local workshops under the flag of the society. So this is an interesting opportunity, and there are 10 organizations already since January entering in this new opportunity. Then another thing which we are doing is we are in a wider landscape of researchers. Researchers are a little bit stubborn. They always try to make their own little circle. So what we are doing now is we are reaching out to comparable organizations. There are a number of them. And at this conference, I want to have special attention for the WSCSD, which is the World Society, what is it? The World Community of Sustainable Development Students. We are connecting now, and you might actually activate your students at your institutions to link up to them, link up to us as well, and see how interactions between master and PhD students around the world can be organized together. So probably you all have your own students' organizations. Let them link up to the world community of students for sustainable development. Then within the society we have our thematic working groups, and this is also for all of you an opportunity to share your work with people in the same area. So we have 7 main teams. We also are working on regional subgroups, and we will be talking with our friends in Middle Africa for an African charter. There are a lot of people now around here from Latin America, so I invite the Latin American partners to maybe think of creating a group of researchers from 4, 5, 6 countries in Latin America and create a chapter within the society. So we are very happy to share ideas with you about that and explain how it can benefit you. But also for the other main topics, which more or less covers the tracks that we are having here in the conference every year. If you want to create more lasting collaboration and more continuous exchange of ideas, this would be the platform for all of you. And well, when you have your institutional or your thematic working group, you can actually show your work via the website. There are pages for the working groups, and also via our newsletter you can distribute more recent outcomes of research. So we don't have only this annual 1 week event where we can meet, but we can meet with all the modern media continuously throughout the year. Then a special attention I would have for 2 events that are planned in the program. I didn't see Simon Bell yet. He's over there, on the top over there. Simon Bell is facilitating, organizing 2 discussions, one at the end of today at 6 o'clock in the auditorium, to discuss how each of us could have a more permanent, active exchange role in the Society of Sustainable Development Researchers. And then he will give you some food for thought, and we will come back in the members meeting on Friday on the discussions that were there and see what we can do with the results of that. So Simon, already thanks for your efforts in this. Well, we are not in isolated places anymore. We are connected to the whole of the world, so the call is in the program, but I want to repeat that over here. Please share your ideas to the people at home, to the people at other places, and use any of the 3 modern social media which are there. So this is the LinkedIn group. You can actually, and there's a large number of debates going on this LinkedIn discussion group. Anyone can post discussions at that stage. So, and the same goes for the society. If you have not yet registered as a follower or as a member, please still do so we can keep connecting to you. So I'm just calling for a permanent active role in the society to all of you. Have a good thought of that, and maybe the board members can raise their hand or stand up, because these are the people. Please stand up, board members. I see. Connect to any of these to discuss possible connections for the future. They're willing to explain things, and would be good to continue this discussion. With this, I want to give the word back to Thomas. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Walter. Next, I would like to invite the Dean of the School of Science and Technology of Universidade Nova de Lisboa, Professor Fernando Santana.
like on behalf of the School of Science and Technology of this University of Nova to greet all of you in this opening session, and allow me to do in a very special way to Dr. Sandra Enteriço, representing the Minister of Environment, that unfortunately cannot be here with us because his plane was retained in Vienna, and we also regret quite a lot. We would like very much to have him here today with us. But in any case, Vienna is always a nice place to be retained. Nice music and nice chocolate, at least. So thank you so much for being here with us, and I kindly ask you to give the Minister our best regards. Thank you. So I would like to greet also Professor Walter Vermeulen, President, I would say, the only and the best society for sustainable development, Research Society. Professor, it is a great pleasure also to have you here with us, and thanks for the presentation you have just made for us about the topic of the conference and also about the society. It's very important. Thank you. A word also to my colleague from the University, Professor Tomás Ramos, the conference chair, and the chair and the co-chairs, Rui Santos, Sandra, my colleagues also from the school, for all the work, and I'm sure all the pleasure they had to organize this event. Although they are not sleeping, but don't worry, you have the time afterwards. Greeting all of you, allow me also to leave a special word to our colleague from the University of São Paulo, Professor Evandro Moreto, that has co-organized with us the pre-event of this conference. Thank you also for being with us. It is a great pleasure. Some time ago, Tomás and Rui, they went to see me at my office about this possibility of our university for hosting this event. I'm sorry, I have to look to the left and the right because things are not moving as we discussed outside. So they went to see me about the possibility of hosting this event here in our university, and the three of us, we got very enthusiastic with the idea of proposing to the society this possibility of doing the event here in our university, in our country. And it was worth to do it. Indeed, it is a great pleasure to have you all here today with us in this opening session of this major international event on sustainability. It is indeed a great pleasure. Thanks to the society for accepting our proposal to do it here in Lisbon. Rethinking sustainability, it is indeed a very interesting topic, but in my view also quite challenging topic. As we all know, the sustainability or the sustainable development concept, it was very important for humanity, I would say, because it led the people to think about the future. And was sometimes, or I would say quite a lot of times, misused because as it is an interesting concept and that takes people to reflect on the future, sometimes was misused in the sense that everybody was saying that sustainable development was everything, and that it was not the case, as we all know. So I believe that rethinking sustainability, it's quite actual, and if I can suggest, and I am sure that during the discussions that will be shown, in my view, there is the need for an effort for refocusing sustainability, apart from rethinking. Well, it is included at the end. So, I don't want to take your time, this opening session, But I would like to wish all the delegates a very nice conference, a very nice stay in Lisbon, as Professor Vermeulen said, at this place that received the European champions last Sunday. And if there are French delegates, I'm sure there are, not hard feelings, we are good friends forever, always, for sure. So I hope you enjoy the conference. The place, and I know there is a sort of a tour about wine production sustainability. If I can suggest, for me, that will be the best one. Don't miss it. So, have a nice conference. It is a great pleasure to have you here all with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Santana. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Sandra Inteiriço in the presentation of the Ministry of the Environment.
Good morning. The Ministry of the Environment is very glad with this invitation to speak about sustainable development in a scientific framework. I would like to greet the sponsors of this conference for the initiative, the International Sustainable Development Research Society, Nova University, and the Center for Environmental and Sustainable Research. On September 25, 2050, United Nations countries adopted a set of 17 Sustainable Development Goals to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure prosperity for all as part of a new Sustainable Development Agenda for 2030. The established goals will represent different challenges and efforts through the globe regions, which arise the need of international cooperation on sustainable development through capacity building, technology transfer, and financing support. The goals most strictly linked with environment are the 6th goal, to ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. The 11th goal, make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. The 12th goal, ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. And the 3rd goal, take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. Today, we would like to focus our contribution to this conference, underlining the importance of the 6th goal, to ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all, in relation with the challenge of the adaptation to climate change impacts on water availability, included in the 3rd goal. As a recent OECD report mentioned, climate change is a large extent water change. Portugal has a success history in the water sector. In the last 3 decades, we took the decision of defining new integrated public policies for the water services and water resources, with a successful result for citizens, economy, public health, and environment. We made an evolution from 80% to 95% of service in water supply, and from 30% to 83% in properly treated wastewater. The water supply quality in good or excellent standards increased from 50% to 99%. And what we have now to confess is we hope we'll be able to do such a good work in the next stage of water management challenge, the adaptation to the effects of climate change. This is a stage far more demanding than the previous, and with strong impacts in citizens' quality of life and in economic activities. We know that management of water availability is a complex task, due to the need to harmonize the demands and objectives of different users and simultaneously ensure the sustainability of aquatic ecosystems and their dependent lands. When we had the uncertainty of the effects of climate change on water availability in the medium and long run, we face a huge challenge that we need to address now regarding the time frame of the climate change impacts and the life cycle of water infrastructures. The scientific community contribution is crucial to win this challenge, both by providing a better knowledge of the local impacts of climate change and by conceiving innovative and sustainable technical solutions of water provision and management. We also need to be aware that this must be a global and concerted goal. Water is crucial to humankind, and situations of international security may be threatened otherwise. And we already foreseen some instruments for this international cooperation, namely those defined in the Paris Treaty, combining capacity building, technology transfer, and financing support arising from Paris Treaty and the effort of the scientific community, both by providing a better knowledge of the local impacts of climate change and by conceiving innovative and sustainable technical solutions of water provision and management, we believe we'll be able to succeed on the 6th Sustainable Development Goal, to ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sandra Inteiriço. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the opening ceremony. I would like to thank all guests and all participants to this ceremony, and we'll finish here and we will start the plenary in some minutes, so please don't leave the room. Thank you very much.